Good morning. Hello. Here we are. We made it to Friday. Welcome or welcome back to Bookie Monsters. My name is PK. It is Friday, September the 6th, and we are here to close out the week of new releases. Every day of the week, we look at a new release type. We look at different genres every day. Mondays, we look at cozy mysteries. It was a long one on Monday. It was a holiday, so we were able to look at all of them. There were about 44 of them. On Tuesdays, we look at mysteries and thrillers. On Wednesdays, we look at romance. On Thursdays, it's fantasy and science fiction. And Friday is Freeform Friday, and we look at whatever I want to look at. Today, we'll be looking at some interesting nonfiction, historical, and some leftover fantasies. Hope you had a good night. Good morning, Kim. And let's see, quick announcements. I don't have sprints tonight. I don't do them on Friday night. We will have them tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And those go for 5 hours. I do sprints 3 times a week, every Tuesday and Thursday evening, and the Saturday afternoons. All right. I feel a sneeze coming. Excuse me. First up, a women's fiction, The Empress of Cook County by Elizabeth Bass Parman. 38-year-old Posey Jarvis is the self-appointed empress of rural Spark in Cook County, Tennessee. She spends her days following every word about her idol and look-alike Jackie Kennedy, avoiding her stalwart husband Vern, and struggling to control her newly defiant daughter Callie Jane, all while sneaking nips of gin. When Posey unexpectedly inherits a derelict mansion from her quirky old Aunt Milbury, she finagles her way into hosting her high school's 20th reunion there. She cares nothing about seeing her classmates, but she cares deeply about seeing the love of her life, a man who dumped her 19 years ago. Possums are nesting in the parlor, and the stench of cat urine permeates the sunroom, but she must be ready for the big day, even if she has to do the work herself. 18-year-old Callie Jane, oh, we can see where this daddy issue's going, finds herself accidentally engaged and is panicking about her fast approaching wedding. She also had enough of her domineering mother. Even though she loves her father, the idea of working at his emporium for the rest of her life just makes her so sad. She longs to escape from her mother, her job, her upcoming wedding, and the creepy peeping Tom terrorizing the town. She dreams of leaving everything she's ever known in her rearview mirror and starting over in California. But when her life has been mapped out for her from birth, how can she break free? Set in a gossipy small town during the turbulent 1960s and full of southern charm and unforgettable characters, this book is a novel about found family, what it means to be loved, and how being true to yourself can have life-altering consequences. If you're looking for something southern. Oh my. Yeah, I woke up, I couldn't fall asleep. So kept, I went back to crocheting till I finally thank you, got tired enough, got my mind to shut down. At least you get to go back to bed. That would be lovely. I cannot, so you have to sleep double hard for us. The Mongol Ascension, Book 3 in a Jump in Time by Andrew Varga. This appears to be a young adult, but it sounded interesting. Mission, save the world. Destination, ancient Mongolia. 17-year-old Dan Renfrew's life is anything but ordinary. In addition to facing the usual teenage challenges, he has a secret. He's a time jumper, a member of a clandestine group tasked with fixing glitches in history. So kind of like Jodie Taylor's St. Mary's. Although the time police aren't fixing things. They're trying to keep it safe from manipulation. When rogue jumpers threaten global chaos, Dan and his partner Sam embark on a perilous mission to Mongolia in the year 1179. There they encounter a brave teen fighting to save his kidnapped wife. They soon realize they're in a desperate race against time to save the Mongol Empire and the future of the entire world. I thought that was an interesting. This next one is a nonfiction. Is it? No, it's not. This one is historical. And it's taking its time. Let's try it again. Did we just lose the internet? Nope. But it didn't want us to go to that page, so we'll go to this page. Lady Flyer. This is a historical fiction by Heather B. Moore, based on a true story. In the quiet town of, I'm going to say it wrong, it could be Houghton, Houghton, who knows, Michigan, 16-year-old Nancy Harkness discovers a passion that ignites her heart in ways she never expected. The arrival of barnstormer pilots brings more than just the thrill of their daring stunts. It brings the promise of adventure. Nancy vows she will be a pilot someday. Years later, as the dark clouds of World War II gather on the horizon, Nancy's dreams take a new and daring turn. With unwavering determination, she envisions a squadron of female pilots. Yet her path is far from clear. The male-dominated world of aviation pushes back, determined to keep women out of the skies. But Nancy isn't alone in her quest for equality. Jackie Cochran, a formidable aviatrix and Nancy's rival, has her own dreams and ambitions for women in aviation. As they both navigate the turbulent skies of a nation at war, their destinies intertwine in a story of rivalry, respect, and competition. Let's see if it'll let me open this one now. It will. We just needed to do it in this order. Yes, internet, we will let you lead us. Morning, Storm. I may go read at the park. I seem to be getting more reading done there. Oh, nice. Kim says, morning, Storm. Morning, thank you. All right, The English Chemist. This is a novel by Jessica Mills. A novelization of, I think, a true story, or inspired by. Rosalind Franklin knows that to be a woman in a man's world is to be invisible. In the 1950s, science is a gentleman's profession, and in the years after World War II, there are plenty of scientists who want to keep it that way. After being segregated at Cambridge, then ignored and criticized in the workplace, she has no intention of being seen as a second-class scientist and throws everything into proving her worth. But despite her success in unlocking the very secret of life, the ultimate glory is claimed by the men she left in her wake. Inspired by the true story of a woman so many tried to silence, this book is a tale of hope and perseverance, love, and betrayal. If you are maybe looking for something after reading Lessons in Chemistry, end of that row. This one is another women's fiction, Blue Sisters. A read with Jenna Pick. Not that that matters. By Coco Mellers. The three Blue Sisters are exceptional and exceptionally different. Avery, the eldest and a recovering heroin addict turned straight-laced lawyer, lives with her wife in London. Bonnie, a former boxer, works as a bouncer in Los Angeles following a devastating defeat. And Lucky, the youngest, models in Paris while trying to outrun her hard partying ways. They also had a fourth sister, Nikki, whose unexpected death left the family reeling. A year later, as they each navigate grief, addiction, and ambition, they find they must return to New York to stop the sale of the apartment they were raised in. But coming home is never as easy as it seems. As the sisters reckon with the disappointments of their childhood and the loss of the only person who held them together, they realize that the greatest secrets they've been keeping might not have been from one another, but from themselves. These next few are nonfiction that I thought sounded interesting. Category 5, Superstorms and the Warming Oceans That Feed Them by Porter Fox. Superstorms, hurricanes, typhoons, and spiraling freak weather. The fallout of global warming is a real life natural thriller. Not really. As captured in this book, here is the story of the largest storms on Earth and how those storms are growing bigger and stronger. I don't think they are. It's just cyclical. We're moving on. You lost me. Nonfiction, Becoming Elizabeth Arden, The Woman Behind the Global Beauty Empire by Stacey A. Cordery. Elizabeth Arden was a household name on 6 continents and a millionaire several times over before her death in 1966. Arden counted British royalty and social elites from the overlapping worlds of New York, Hollywood, London, and Paris among her clients. She revolutionized skincare and cosmetics, making it acceptable for all women to embrace glamour and wear makeup, not just actresses and prostitutes. She created a successful international business empire before women gained the vote and at a time when virtually no woman owned or ran a national company. She developed the first luxury spa and insisted on a holistic understanding of health and beauty. Unconventional and driven, Arden fervently believed that every woman could be beautiful. The author does full justice to one of America's greatest entrepreneurs, etc., etc. No Road Leading Back, An Improbable Escape from the Nazis and the Tangled Way We Tell the Story of the Holocaust by Chris Heath. No Road Leading Back is the remarkable story of a dozen prisoners who escaped from the site where more than 70,000 Jews were shot in the Lithuanian forest of Ponar after I probably say that wrong, Ponar, after the Nazi invasion of Eastern Europe in 1941. Anxious to hide the incriminating evidence of the murders, the SS later in the war enslaved a group of Jews to exhume every one of the bodies and incinerate them all in a months-long labor, an episode whose specifics are staggering and disturbing even within the context of the Holocaust. From within that dire circumstance emerges the improbable escape made by some of the men who dug a tunnel with bare hands and spoons while they were trapped and guarded day and night, an act not just of bravery and desperation, but of awesome imagination. Based on first-person accounts of the escapees and on each scrap of evidence that has been documented, repressed, or amplified since, this book resurrects their lives while also providing a complex, urgent analysis of why their story has rarely been told, and never accurately. Heath explores the cultural use and misuse of Holocaust testimony and the need for us to face it and all uncomfortable historical truths with honesty and accuracy. End of that row. And another nonfiction, Math for English Majors by Ben Orlin. Math, it is said, is the universal language, but if a language brings people together, why does math make so many of us feel so alone? This book offers fresh insights for the mathematically perplexed and mathematical masters alike. As the author reveals, the universal language is precisely that, a language. It has nouns, the numbers, verbs, calculations, and grammar, algebra. It has funny idioms, exponential, quirky etymologies, squaring, and peculiar ambiguities, PEMDAS, whatever that is. It even has its own form of literature with equations ranging from the simple wisdom of a squared plus b squared equals c squared to the startling profundity of e pi plus 1 equals 0, whatever that is. Along the way, he shares relatable stories of his own mathematical misunderstandings and epiphanies, as well as the trials and triumphs of his students. As always, he sheds further light and levity on the subject with his inept yet strangely effective drawings. And I included this because he's also written other books. I think his first one is called Math Games with Bad Drawings. And Change is the Only Constant, The Wisdom of Calculus in a Madcap World. And then there was another one that was like about triangles. I admire anybody who's trying to make math user-friendly for those of us who are not math people. It intrigues me. Ah, That warms my heart. Somebody needs to. This is another nonfiction. The World She Edited, Catherine S. White at the New Yorker. Based on years of scrupulous research, the author creates a rare and deeply intimate portrait and her famous marriage to E.B. White. In the summer of 1925, Catherine Sargent Engel White walked into the New Yorker's Midtown office and left with a job as an editor. The magazine was only a few months old. Over the next 36 years, White would transform the publication into a literary powerhouse. This exquisite biography brings to life the remarkable relationships White fostered with her writers and how these relationships nurtured an astonishing array of literary talent. She edited a young John Updike, to whom she sent 17 rejections before a single acceptance, as well as Vladimir Nabokov, with whom she fought incessantly, urging that he drop needlessly obscure, confusing words, etc. I thought that was interesting too. And our last nonfiction, Scotland Yard, A History of the London's Police Force's Most Infamous Murder Cases by Simon Reed. The idea of Scotland Yard is steeped in atmospheric stories of foggy London streets, murder by lamplight, and fiendish killers pursued by gentlemen detectives. From its establishment in 1829 through the eve of World War II, Scotland Yard, the world's first modern, professional, and centrally organized police force, set new standards for policing and investigating. Scotland Yard advanced groundbreaking use of forensics, from fingerprints to ballistics to evidence collection, made the first attempt at criminal profiling, and captivated the public on both sides of the Atlantic with feats of detective work that rivaled any fictional interpretation. Based on official case files, contemporary newspaper reportings, trial transcripts, and the first-hand accounts of the detectives on the beat, this book tells the tales of some of history's most notorious murders, with cases that proved to be landmarks in the field of criminal inquiry. I thought that was interesting too. And we are back to the books from yesterday's fantasy and science fiction that we didn't get to. Under the Oak Tree, Volume 1 by Namu is the adapter, Suji Kim is the author, and P is the illustrator. Don't know. Most fairy tales end with a wedding and a happily ever after, but this is no fairy tale. The first volume of the official webcomic based on the hit web novel by Suji Kim. Okay. End of that row. Moving to the next one. Songlight, the Torch Trilogy, book number 1 by Maura Buffini. Star-crossed lovers, against all odds, friendship, and a brutally unforgiving world make this first in a trilogy utterly unforgettable. Where two songs join, and there's a word for that, a harmony. Elsa is used to hiding the most important parts of herself, her feelings for Rai, her distaste for a world ruled by men, and most crucially, her gift of songlight. She buries that secret deep inside. In Brightland, those with songlight are called unhumans and are abhorred. Rai is the only other person Elsa has known with songlight, and their shared bond has brought them together. Elsa's world begins to fall apart one desperate, heart-wrenching day, and she doesn't know where to turn until a girl appears before her, but the girl isn't really there. Her songlight has been drawn to Elsa's frantic grief, etc. I'm touching on these briefly because we are running out of time, and we're running out of week. The Fallen Fruit by Chantel Madison. Combining history and fantasy, a sweeping multi-generational epic in the vein of Kindred and The Time Traveler's Wife, about a woman who travels through time to end a family curse that has plagued her ancestors for generations. On a rainy day in May 1964, history professor Cecily Bridge Davis begins to search for the 65 acres of land she inherited from her father's family. The quest leads her to uncover a dark secret. In every generation, one offspring from each Bridge family unit vanishes and is mysteriously whisked back in time. Rules have been established that must be followed to prevent dire consequences. Under the Eye of the Big Bird, and I don't think they mean Sesame Street, by Hiromi Kawakami. From one of Japan's most brilliant and sensitive, and Asa Yoneda is the translator. This speculative fiction masterpiece envisions an Earth where humans are nearing extinction and rewrites our understanding of reproduction, ecology, evolution, artificial intelligence, communal life, creation, love, and the future of humanity, all in under 300 pages. In the distant future, humans are on the verge of extinction and have settled in small tribes across the planet under the observation and care of mothers. Some children are made in factories from cells of rabbits and dolphins. Some live by getting nutrients from water and light like plants, etc., etc. Just give me an epic quest, that's all. Us in Ruins by Rachel Moore. Margot is on the quest to uncover and reassemble an ancient and cursed vase with the help of a boy who went missing in 1932 because it's the only way to put back together her broken heart. This is a standalone. The mythical vase of Venus Aurelia hasn't been seen since 1932, but Margot Rhodes is determined to change that. Drawn by the vase's supposed magical properties, Margot embarks on her school's archaeological trip to Pompeii. Sure, it's her first time holding a shovel, but she's got something no one else does. Lost teenage explorer Van Keen's journal. Poring over the poetic entries that serve as a map to the vase's missing shards, Margot finds herself falling in love with the boy who wrote it a century ago. She's shocked when her search leads her to a statue that looks exactly like Van, and then the statue comes to life. We're going to get to this last one. We're going to. The Cottage Around the Corner by D.L. Soria. Chanterelle Cottage is Charlie Sparrow's whole world, the cozy spell shop where she and her moms practice their witchcraft, selling goods and services to the people of small town Owl's Hollow has been in her family for generations. Okay, business has been a little slow, and a recent burglary hit their inventory pretty hard, and the bank may not agree to restructure their loan, but Charlie is talented and savvy, and she'll keep things afloat once her parents finally let her buy into the business as a co-owner. Still, when a competing magecraft firm opens in town, things start to look bleak. After all, everyone knows there's room for only one magic shop in Owl's Hollow. So what if Fitz, the mage who owns the new Maven Enterprises, happens to be ridiculously handsome in his ridiculously expensive suits? Who cares that when Charlie can forget for a moment or two that Fitz is her competitor, things between them are as easy as breathing? None of that matters because Charlie is not going to get involved with the competition. In this battle of the businesses, she'll do whatever it takes to make sure Chanterelle Cottage is the last spell shop standing. And that is all we have time for today, this week. That is the book news this week. Not big on nonfiction, but that Scotland Yard one sounds interesting. It does. Going over the cases. All right, that is it. Again, I don't do sprints tonight, Friday night. I will have them tomorrow afternoon for 5 hours, starting at 3 p.m. Next week, we'll look at the new releases that are being set free to us, the readers, next week, genre by genre. Hope you have a very good Friday. If I don't see you, have a good weekend. If you do, yeah, come to sprints. It's fun. It's time carved out for you, and bring a friend. We'd love to grow. Thank you. Back at ya. And as the banner says here, don't be a bookworm, be a bookie monster. Nom nom nom. Have a good day and God bless.